All right, ladies, today we're talking about the interview process. Um, so, just a reminder, next week we have mock interviews during our regular meeting time. They're going to start at 5:30. My suggestion to you would be to show up in, if not your interview outfit, something similar to it. And I would recommend wearing your interview shoes if you have them, just to get used to standing in them, to get used to how the dress moves, to be comfortable, to know how you're going to feel the day of. I can't express that to you enough. Just practicing in it, just wearing it around is a really good idea. Or at least I think it's a really good idea. Um, just my recommendation to you, please show up. Please do this. It's going to be really helpful to you, really beneficial to you. It's not required, but there are a few people that are taking time out of their day to come and interview you and help get you ready. So when you do show up, be very thankful for them. So, moving on to the interview process, I'm going to read to you the judging criteria. Interview is 30% of your final score, which is the most important part of this process. And I will tell you why. Because if you read the job description in the contestant handout, which is, I believe, at the back, it says if you win, and it goes through pretty much a lot of things that you're going to be doing, a lot of things that are going to be expected of you. And a good portion of that is speaking. And whether it's talking to kids, whether it's working on your school program, whether it's, talking to radio stations, whatever it is, you are speaking and you're out on campus and we're trying to get you more into the community. And one of the best ways that we can do that is by getting you to talk to people. The reason that we do that is because it helps prepare you for Miss Texas more than any kind of training or coaching could do for you, because you're preparing more for the job of Miss Texas. And if you feel like you're prepared for the job, then you don't even have to worry about the rest of competition. So that's really great. So be wary of that. Be wary that this is a pretty important part of competition, but don't let that deter you. You've only got 6 minutes with the judges. And that's not a lot of time. So when you're doing that, make sure that your answers are clear and concise and that you know your opinions. The judges got in their handbook a blurb about interview, and I'll read it to you now so that you can know what they're looking for. The interview is a press conference style format where a panel of 4 judges are allowed only 6 minutes to ask each individual contestant questions while she stands at a podium in the front of the room. This is the contestant's chance to prove to you, the judge, that she is capable of doing the job of Miss Green and Gold. The girls should be judged on articulation, personality, personability, and poise. We will provide you with a list of possible questions to ask and a small contestant bio sheet to get the conversation started. So, with that being said, the list of questions is the exact same list that you have in your contestant guide. So, there you go. I helped you out a lot there. You've already got so much more on the competition than usual, and that's great. It's a great resource for you. Make sure that you use it. And also, they're going to get your little bio sheets, and they're only getting the little excerpts from the blog, so they're not even getting like a full resume or a oh my gosh, platform statement, geez, that they would get, at state. That gives them a little bit clearer of an idea of your platform. So all they're going to get is the little blurb that you gave us. And so they very possibly could ask you personal questions right away, or they could ask you the kind of fluff questions from Pageant World. So be prepared for both. Make sure you know what you said on both and be ready for that. The judges for the mock interviews don't have your bios this next week, so they're only focusing on those fluff questions. So that's good. That'll be good for you to know. So it's not going to be exactly like interviews, but it's still going to give you a really good idea and help you at least get into the swing of doing mock interviews. As far as what to expect, you're going to walk into the room. We're going to announce you, and you'll walk into the room and have your little introduction. Hello everyone, my name is Alex Andrews. I'm contestant number 3 and I'm ready to begin when you are. And that's your little introduction. Great, you've just announced yourself to the judges even though they saw you walking in, and you've let them know that you're ready to begin. And you can do this at the podium, you can do this walking up to the podium. Just letting you guys know, I'm trying to get you an actual podium, but I think it's looking more like we're just going to have like a music stand, so they are going to be able to see your feet. Just be wary of that, and be wary of that when you're doing mock interviews too, because you won't have anything. You'll just be standing there. And I've done that before, and it's just fine. You just be conscious that they're going to be able to see more of you than as usual. Um, when you are talking, you do all of that. At the end, you won't have a 30-second closing because we just don't have time for that. Normally you would. Normally you would have some kind of ending that you want to leave the judges with, but you won't have time for that. We'll have somebody in the room that will call time and they'll let you know. They'll either let you finish the question, or if you're going too far over time, they'll be like, okay, thank you, that's time. You have to go now, pretty much. And that you're only allowed after that to say, thank you, whatever you want to say on your way out. And that's it. You don't get a whole 30 seconds. You get to walk out the door. But make sure that you at least, say thank you or something, because that's another thing that I'm going to talk about later. So yeah, just make sure you do that. And that's it. That's kind of all that happens. You walk in, you talk, you say thank you, you leave. So some good ways to practice are with friends, because they're people that you're comfortable with, they're people that you know, and they can ask you questions and you can be comfortable expressing your opinion with them. So that's a great thing to do. Share your opinions with others and listen to other people's opinions. That's a really great thing to do. One of the things that they told us to do to prepare for interview for Miss Texas was roundtable discussions, and it was basically inviting members of the community in and having discussions with them based on specific topics, and doing more listening than talking actually, but listening to their opinions and ideas, and taking it in and just really soaking it in. So that's a great thing to do. You're on a college campus. Everybody has an opinion. Go find somebody's. Wear your interview heels around anytime, anywhere possible. You want to be as comfortable as possible in those heels, because especially if you don't wear heels often, because I don't know of a girl, one, that likes to wear heels across campus every single day, but wear them if you can. Be comfortable in them. Be comfortable standing in them, because the last thing you want to be thinking about is your feet while you're trying to answer a question on what you think. Know your point of view on everything, every possible question that you know you're going to get, everything about your own life. Know your opinion. Be concise, like I said before, and be thoughtful. Don't be I'm right, you're wrong, because the judges aren't going to be judging you on your opinion as much as your articulation of your ideas and your opinions. But still know that there can be bias, and that they're human beings. There can be bias in that, especially if you're telling them how much the other opinion is wrong. If that judge has that opinion, then that's going to turn them off to you a little bit, because that's less personable. And so that's something that you are being judged on. So you can have different points of view. Make sure that you approach them respectfully and thoughtfully. Record yourself. That's another thing. Audio, listening to what you have to say, like actually recording your body language is really important, because you can say what you want to say all you want, and then you go back and listen to it or watch it and you're like, ooh, why did I do that? Or like, what did I do? So it's really great, because you're going to pick up on that more than somebody else would, and you can be conscious of it, and make sure that you know those things. Go through first and listen to what you said, and listen to what you like, or watch for what you like, and what you think was helpful to you when you were doing that, the valuable things that you did, and then go back through it again later and look for improvements. Always start with something positive, because if you just go with negative, then you're never going to find something good, and you need to be able to do that. Write it out if you have to. If you have to go through each one of those questions and write out your opinion, or group them all together and be like, here's a basic summary paragraph of my opinion on all these questions, that's great. If that's how you learn, if that's how you can remember things, if that's how you can figure your opinion out, that's how I figure my opinion out a lot of the time, is by writing it out and being like, oh, that's what I really think. I just word vomit and then go through and fix it. Focus on what matters. Focus on what matters to you. Figure out, one of the best things that I can do is finding a question that's kind of completely irrelevant, and figuring out what in that question matters to me, and how I can relate it back to something that I do know about, that I do want to talk about, that I do have an opinion over, and that I'm confident in. Do not be afraid to have that opinion. Also, don't assume they've read your stuff. Don't assume that they've read, they only get that little blurb, but don't assume that they've read that, because they'll literally will get that morning. The questions they'll have had for longer, but the actual little blurb of yours, they'll get it that morning. So don't assume that they've read it. They've had a lot going on. So share your story, share a little bit of yourself. When you give your answers to questions, if you feel that you have time, or that it's, give a story. I don't know if that cut off, so I just got a phone call, but I'm recording this for you all now, and it's red, So we'll see. Speak in front of people. Get used to speaking in front of people. Make sure, because that's a big part of your job, so make sure that you are okay with talking to people about things that may or may not make you comfortable. Make sure you're okay with that. Keep in mind some questions to ask yourself would be, obviously, what is the job? Do you want the job? Can you do the job? And then once you've asked all of those questions to yourself, make sure that you also know why you would hire you. Like, really ask yourself that question. Why would you hire you for the job? Why would you make yourself Miss Green and Gold? What can you do to improve the program, to gain more recognition for the organization, to help, represent Baylor at Miss Texas, to represent Baylor in general? When you put that crown on, and even when you don't have that crown on, you are now officially a representative of Baylor University. It's linked to your name. So why do you deserve that position? Why do you deserve something like that? Make sure you know that, obviously. I told you, share as much of yourself as possible. Share as much of your story as possible. You only have 6 minutes with them, and I know that's really hard. And some of you are like, oh my gosh, that's forever. And some of you are like, how am I going to do that? But trust me, you can do it. You can get it through. Make sure that you share your story. Make sure you don't share too much of your story, though. There are some things that don't have to be shared in an interview, If you think that the judge would be concerned for you after the fact, that could be an issue, but it's something that if you're okay with sharing that to yourself, it's okay to be vulnerable in a 6-minute interview. But at the same time, make sure that you're still getting the point across that you're capable of doing the job. Remember that they are giving up their time. Most of them are taking off work for you to be there because the interviews are at such an on time of day because they have to be. So please be grateful. Be grateful to them for giving up their time. Be grateful to the volunteers. Be thankful for them. As the winner, you'll be writing them thank you notes. But even if you guys, want to write thank you notes of your own beforehand, I'll give you their names and I'll make sure that it gets to them the day of. But be grateful and thank them on your way out if you can. If you see them at any point in the evening after the pageant, thank them for being there because they really, really are giving up a lot to be there for you guys. And we're very grateful and appreciative for that. Also, remember that you are building skills to be here. So you should take this seriously. You should be doing everything you can to get everything you can out of this experience. So you're getting speaking skills, interviewing skills, self-confidence, self-advocacy skills. You're learning how to be engaging. You've got 6 minutes to basically win these people over. And I cannot tell you how significantly helpful that is when you're doing things like trying to find jobs or, trying to get internships. They can really help you with networking because you learn to market yourself and you learn, like I said, that self-advocacy aspect of it and getting to go out and do things and advocate for yourself, but also advocate for something that you believe in and that you're passionate about. So know that you are learning and building skills. So be grateful for the process and take it as seriously as you possibly can. And that's a pretty big scholarship that's up for grabs. So, that's something that I would take pretty seriously if I were you. And at the end of it all, to kind of round it all out for you, make sure that you ask yourself at least once in this entire process, who is Miss Green and Gold to you? And why should you represent Baylor University? Why would you be the best person for this job? And why are you doing this? And be honest. Be honest with yourself and be honest with the judges if you have to. If you're doing this for the scholarship, that is perfectly okay. That is a $1,500 scholarship for the winner. That's a big deal. That is something that's super